What's up, guys? Jez here from Whiskefy, and welcome to another episode of WhiskefyTV. We are episode 126. Let's get this sucker popping. Now, let me grab my trusty Whiskefy glass, and let me grab today's bottle. So, you're probably wondering what we're sipping on this lovely Whiskey Wednesday. Well, let me tell you, it is, what can I say? Well, do you know what? We won't say anything. We'll just go from the top. We have a fancy little number here. Not something that would be typically sold in Australia now. It's considered more of a collectible because, you know, people go nuts for older bottles. And I did this post last Monday where I was just like, I have a bottle of Jim Beam Cherry. And people are like, oh my God, it's so old. Oh my God. I'm like, who cares? I'm like, it's an old bottle. Like, just, you know, the Wild Turkey 101, that's flying off the shelves at the moment. They're like, get the old bottle of 101. I'm like, yes, buy Wild Turkey products because it's good, but they've also got new bottles coming. I believe they're air freighting them in because stocks are not good at the moment. Anyway, that is enough about Wild Turkey, but more about Jim Beam Bonded. So, if you didn't gather, I have a fancy gift box of Mr. Jim Beam Bonded. Shit's popping. Now, let us hook in and we will check her out. So, it's a fancy little gift box, if you will. It's let me kind of give the other camera a little bit of love there. Perfect. Drop it down. Hopefully she's not too glaring. Perfect. That'll probably look awful for everyone playing at home, but here we are, and we are sipping the good. So, check it. Beam Bonded, same thing on the other box. It's just, don't do bottle tricks. Why? I'm not a bartender. I'm just an alcoholic by trade. So, let's get it happening. Just put this box over here. I really like how the older style bottles, they were providing boxes for like presentation. It was like, yeah, here's a nice little gift for, like, I don't know, your nana or something. And it was actually part of their like small batch kind of selection there as well. It's always fun. So let me get this sucker cracked, not popped. And I'll get a long pour, so make sure that's in frame. I really hope that worked because last time it kind of didn't. I reckon there was a little bit of a spill, but ever since last spill we were 6. I didn't really mark that one down because I was like, it looked like it spilled, but then didn't see it on camera. So I'm going to say it's 6, and we're now on 7 eps since last spill. Love it. Happy days. Happy days. What are we? We're at 3 minutes and I haven't told you anything about this yet. So let's get it cracking. All right. Jim Beam Bonded. Now, it's 100 proof, 50% alcohol, you know, minimum 4 years old, cost about $60 when it landed in Oz, but you're seeing it all the way up to $120 now, and in the US, you're still looking at about $30 a bottle, so we're not too bad. The cask is New Charred American Oak, and it runs a mash bill of 77% corn, 13% rye, and 10% malted barley. Now, let me run into my little expression notes and info, and then we'll get a crack into the tasting. So, let's get it going. Jim Beam Bonded are no longer in circulation in Australia, but it is Jim Beam's solution to the bottled in bond problem. Bottled in bond problem is everyone else has a bottled in bond product, and Jim Beam doesn't. Now, if you haven't heard me talk about the 900 times with Jim Beam, not Jim Beam themselves, but more the Bottled in Bond Act, let me just run you through it real quick. So, in 1897, this is I'm really good at not reading off my sheet, but then like I go back to my sheet real quick just to check, and it's like, no, you messed up, son. Now, in 1897, the US government passed a law called the Bottle and Bond Act. Now, this Bottle and Bond Act basically stopped any Tom, Dick, or Harry making whiskey, and bottling it and going, hey, this is the good, even though it could have had like kerosene, tobacco spit, extracts of, I don't know, shoe. So basically they came up with this design where it's like, all right, this act saying these are the rules it has to be, and you're going to slap a Bottle and Bond sticker on it, and we all know that it's good juice. So it has to come from one distillery, and if it doesn't, it has to say it on the label. So both times. Now, it has to come from that one distillery from a single season. So that season runs between January to June or July to December. Next one, it has to be bottled at 100 proof or 50%, minimum of 4 years old, and it has to be aged in a federally bonded warehouse where I know with Stitzer and they had the bondsman on site. You check all the barrels and go, yeah, this is good. Taxman loves his whiskey. Now, a fun little fact about the Bottle and Bond Act of 1897 was in 1906, the Food and Drug Act was put into play. So technically, they cared more about their whiskey being good than their food being top notch, which I think that's fun. And I heard that, well, actually, it's a fun little thing that distilleries like to throw out there, but I think Tris mentioned it to me the other day when we were doing the turkey tasting. It was just like, yeah, that stuck. So yeah, I love that. So let us get into this little turkey tasting because we're at 7 minutes. I just love talking. Now, let's get it popping. Got some like honey, caramel, vanilla, typical bourbon notes, a little bit of leather, and I got a hint of spearmint there as well when I was giving this tasting the first time round. So like first time round is in like for the sheet. Now, for the taste. So, just on that tongue, I'm getting, it's like a mid viscosity, but we've also got this good tip of tongue spice there. It's just like coating, I guess all those like corn notes just really popping through. And as I flicked it around on my palate, I also got this note of like a light oak, which is always good. It's just like a bit of oakiness, brings it right in, make you feel at home, bliss. Now, for the finish. So I get like a medium finish on that, and it's like starts off with like, you get this oak, this nice overpowelingness of oak, not like your Eagle Rare kind of oak, so not that intense, but it's there. It feels like it's been aged out in the weather for a little bit of that influence. I don't know if you can taste that, but that's what it reminds me of. I'm like, do you know what, if I was sucking whiskey out of an oak stave, that is what it would have been like. So as I kind of rein that back in, it's also got this like nice candy corn kind of note there as well. And then it finishes out just with like a little bit more oak, and it's a good combination of like sweetness, oak, sweetness, and oak. It's like a layered cake. Bliss. Only if the cake was kind of like oaky and Sweet. I don't know. Sounds like a good cake. Whiskey cake. Now, on to the Buy Bar Pass. So, let me kick it off with, since it isn't available in Australia, I'll start off with the US, and it's a great entry-level price for bourbon. So, if you're picking this up for about $30 and you want to get into like that bottled in bond kind of stuff, considering that it isn't really actively available here, I think it's perfect. I think it's a good kind of spot to sit for, like, especially with Jim Beam, because you got that beam nuttiness there as well that isn't really overpowering, considering like if we're going to Black Bookers and it's high proof and you get a heap of those peanuts and everything else. It's more like you just know it's Jim Beam. It's like that flavor. Secondly, it's jam-packed nose and a cracking finish. So circling back to the nose, it was honey, caramels, beam nuttiness, leather, and then that spearmint I also got there as well. And then that finish was medium finish, oak up front, fades to a candy corn oakiness like a laid cake. Definitely rate those kind of flavors there. So typical bourbon, delicious stuff. But the problem is, in Australia, it is now treated like a collectible. I've seen it all the way up to $120. It shouldn't be that expensive, considering that it is just 4-year-old 100 proof juice. I don't know what to tell you, but circling back, people go nuts for old labels. So this is how we navigate. I would 100% on this one. It kind of stings me a little bit, but I would bar it if you're in Australia, if you can find a bottle. I know I paid $8 a pour for this the other night when I was out, and I was just like, do you know what? I think I need to crack this bottle and tell you guys about it, considering that if you're going to find it at a bar, try it, give it a go. I personally wouldn't add another one to my collection because it's discontinued, and you'd have to really overpay for it if you want to get it. So there's no supply. It sucks, but it is what it is. So I'm going to say a bar lean buy. Pick it up if you're in the US, because entry-level bourbon, bottled in bond, can't go wrong. But yeah, I will wrap that up there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. We are at the 14-minute mark, so wrap that sucker up. Thank you. Love y'all. Hopefully you enjoyed this Whiskey Wednesday. Hopefully y'all can try some Jim Beam Bonnet as well, and it's not just me sipping on this good juice. So thank you. Love y'all. Stay thirsty. I'm Jez. Peace.